Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Roboyarou Yugioh deck profile for October 2020. Now, a few of you have requested that I make a Roboyarou deck, which I actually completely forgot about this deck for a good while now. It's actually one of the older deck profiles for support that I've done, being used by Tristan during the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. I know Tristan didn't really duel that much, but when he did during the Big 5 arc with Noah, he used this deck along with, I believe, Super Roboyarou, or it might have even just been regular Roboyarou being his deck master. But it's a very interesting fusion deck using Robo Lady and Roboyarou as your main go-to fusion material. So I wanted to focus the main part of the deck just to summon out these fusion monsters, being weak normal monsters themselves, but powerhouse fusion monsters that you can build up with a bunch of other different cards in the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the monsters, for the normal monsters, we're running 3 Roboyarou, being our first of the main monsters in the deck to go for. Roboyarou has 900 attack and 450 defense, so definitely not a very strong monster at that, but just, with it being a normal monster, it's definitely easier to summon out onto the field. So we want to also run max numbers of this card, because this is our go-to card for summoning out our Super Robo Lady, and also our Super Roboyarou being our main fusion monster in the extra deck to go for. So we run 3 copies of Roboyarou and 3 copies of Robo Lady, both being pretty much exactly the same machine, earth, attribute, normal monsters. The only difference being that Robo Lady and Roboyarou have their attack and defense swapped, with Robo Lady having 450 attack and 900 defense. But both of them will just be used for their playstyle altogether, being resources for the extra deck, or just having options with them on the field for you to use for your fusion summon. But it being a monster target for Rescue Rabbit definitely does make it very, very important to run 3 Rescue Rabbit in the deck as well. Whether your target will be Roboyarou or Robo Lady, we have plenty of options with these cards in the deck when we can get 2 of them out on the field with Rescue Rabbit, and a bunch of other different special summon options with the deck as well make this a definite staple. So you always have those options, and so you avoid them being banished, because you definitely want to recycle them, since the main play will be to fusion summon out multiple copies of your Super Roboyarou and Super Robo Lady. You want to make sure you fusion summon with them before Rescue Rabbit's effect banishes them. And then for a little extra fusion power, I run 3, the Earth Hex Sealed Fusion. You can substitute this for any one fusion material monster. When you do, the other fusion material monster must be the correct one. And you contribute summon this monsters on the field, including this card, to special summon 1 Earth fusion monster from your extra deck. So with this, you're not limited to what you can summon out now. Thanks to Master Rule 5, the extra deck is fully open to all the different fusion monsters. So relying on the Earth Hex Sealed Fusion just to cover one of the additional monsters for the fusion summon, depending on whether or not you have your Roboyarou or your Robo Lady to summon out. You can use the Earth Hex Sealed Fusion as that other requirement to summon those cards out onto the field. And polymerization being a very important part of the deck as well. I'm running 3 King of the Swamp. More search power with polymerization, but also being another substitute for any one fusion material monster that you use, and the other fusion material must be the same, making this very vital in the deck, just so we have more search power. We have other cards in the deck that also search polymerization, but you want the option with King of the Swamp, just having it so you, depending on whatever of the Roboyarous you open up, you have more search power with this card as well to grab your fusion material. And if you have multiple King of the Swamps, if you already have the polymerization, being a substitute for one of those fusion requirements also. And lastly, for the monsters in the main deck, I run 3 Barrier Statue of the Drought. Now, defense is one thing this deck definitely does lack, being more of an offensive style deck. So with the Barrier Statue of the Drought, you have more of a defensive play you can go for using this card, setting this card up, and then having your fusion summon be your Earth monsters, which are both Roboyarou and Robo Lady. So with that, you really limit your opponent to what they can special summon out, depending on what type of deck they're using. Barrier Statue Statue of the Drought is a big help for sure, just to slow them down for those plays. We have a few fusion options with this card as well, being a Rock Monster and the Roboyarou and Robolady both being Machine. We also have the option to go into Mud Dragon of the Swamp for another fusion target using Barrier Statue in the deck. If you didn't want to run Barrier Statue, you can also try out Super Polymerization. It's just an additional fusion option for this card, being able to, fusion summon during the battle phase and then get multiple attacks off against your opponent as well. Since the Roboyarou and Robolady fusion monsters, really show all they have when they attack your opponent's monsters, gaining that additional attack power. But that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Polymerization. Now, this is your go-to, most important spell in the deck, since the main play using both Robolady and Roboyarou are, fusion plays. So having the max number of Polymerizations and plenty of different search options for our spell and trap lineup to set up Polymerization make it that much more important in the deck. So you definitely want to run max number of this for the search option. Like I said, if you take out the Barrier Statue for the Super Polymerization, you have that option as well. If you didn't want to run Super Polymerization, you can take out the Barrier Statue even for Ultra Polymerization, which will give you more options to special summon cards onto the field, but that is more player preference at that point also. For some more of the spell search, I also run 3 Fusion Deployment. You reveal 1 fusion monster in your extra deck and special summon from your hand or deck one of the fusion materials whose name is listed specifically on that card. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for fusion monsters the turn you activate this card. You can only activate 1 Fusion Deployment per turn. This is just the easiest way to get your resources out onto the field, just revealing either of the fusions, whether it be Super Roboyarou or your Robolady. Both have the requirements for the fusion of Roboyarou and Robolady, both on their card description on what cards you need to fusion summon them. So fusion deployment is that easy to special summon out those cards onto the field to use, and then you should have other targets like Rescue Rabbit or even some of our other spell lineup, which we'll get to in just a bit, to get the rest of the cards out onto the field. And I also run the 2 Fusion Recycling Plant, just being another option for Polymerization, being able to discard a card to add a Polymerization from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And then once per turn during the end phase, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as fusion material and add to your hand. Recycle power, so you can get more fusions out during that turn that comes around, giving you the resources and hopefully having plenty of other spell options in your hand for you to then get more of the cards you need out onto the field. And I run the 1 Terraforming. We only run the 2 Fusion Recycling Plant. This is a card to set up for your Polymerization search engine. Running 3 just doesn't help as often. I prefer to search out with the Terraforming and then have less copies in the deck to potentially draw into. And if we do draw into the other one, there's a chance our opponent may try to destroy this card, giving us another card to set and activate. And with our monsters being level 6 fusion monsters, for more of an attack boost play, I run 2 Fusion Weapon. It can only be equipped to a fusion monster of level 6 or less. Increase the attack and defense of the equipped monster by 1,500 points. So being able to gain attack with Super Roboyarou and Super Robolady with their own effects, and then just being able to boost them up even more with Fusion Weapon means they can hit a good number of different cards in our opponent's arsenal that they may bring out. I may even consider bumping this card up to 3. If I were to do so, I would either take out 1 of the fusion deployments or 1 of the Unexpected Die, which I'm also running 3 of. If you control no monsters, you can special summon 1 level 4 lower normal monster from your deck. Just more special summon options. Our main go-to boss monsters in the deck are both normal monsters, so we're not limited to which one we can summon out with this, making it so you can special summon using your Unexpected Die, and then use Rescue Rabbit to summon out the other one you may need for your play. And I also run 2 Limiter Removal. I know these monsters scream, warrior monsters, but they're both actually machine monsters. So being able to, use Limiter Removal with both of them and our fusion counterparts we have means that you can hit even bigger numbers with cards like your Fusion Weapon equipped on, being able to then double the attack power with Fusion Weapon and Limiter Removal to hit for big damage against your opponent altogether. And the fact that there are also machines, if you want more resources for, let's say, Link monsters in the extra deck, I run 2 Iron Call. If you control a machine-type monster, which most of the time with this deck you should, target 1 level 4 lower machine monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. Its effects are negated and destroyed during the end phase, but you're going to use that card for a resource anyway, so just a great way to special summon more cards back onto the field for you to use. And the same with Monster Reborn being the last of the spells we're running in the deck, and more of the lineup for our special summons once we fusion summon with them. We're not running cards like Fusion Gate. All of our resources should go to the graveyard for us to special summon back onto the field. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. I run 3. Fusion Reserve, the last of our search power in the deck, with the big part of the spell lineup being search power altogether for our main go-to monsters to fuse together. So Fusion Reserve, you reveal 1 fusion monster from your extra deck and add 1 of the fusion materials listed on that card from your deck to your hand. Then you can add 1 polymerization from your graveyard to your hand. Being great late game search power, especially since you can recycle the polymerization back to your hand while not having to use your field spell. It's just good to have both of the options available if you do need to use them. That's why I like to run the 3 Fusion Reserve as that option to go into. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. Now, the main part of our fusions are, Super Roboyarou and Super Robo Lady. So I'm running max numbers of all 3 in the deck. So 3 Super Roboyarou. With this card, you need 1 Roboyarou and 1 Robo Lady to make it. You can special summon Super Robo Lady by returning this card from the field to the extra deck. You cannot activate this effect the same turn this card is special summoned. And also, when this card battles an opponent monster, you can increase this card's attack by 1,000. So with this fusion weapon and also limiter removal if you're attacking into an attack position monster on your opponent's field, Super Roboyarou can hit for immense, power and damage against your opponent with the risk that it will be destroyed, but hopefully you have plenty of other monsters set up for your arsenal to swing into your opponent when you set up limiter removal. That will basically be the game-winning play to go for right there. And also running the 3 Super Robo Ladies, being the same basically as Super Roboyarou. The only difference is you'll special summon out your Roboyarou with this card, and then the same limitations, but it also has the attack gain. So just depending on which fusion you want to summon out first with the deck, both being the exact same cards, just having the different special summon options to tag in and out between the 2 of them also. But you want max numbers of each, because if your opponent takes care of 1 of the cards on the field, you want more fusion options to go into and then swap back and forth between the 2. I also run the 1 First of the Dragon, being plenty of normal monsters in the deck. This is just another great powerhouse dragon monster to summon out. And the 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Now, this can be either, Mud Dragon of the Swamp or even Panzer Dragon in the deck. That's completely player preference at that point, because you can use your First of the Dragons to fuse together your machine-type monsters you run in the deck along with this card into Panzer Dragon if you need a little more destruction power against your opponent. But once again, player preference at that point. For the Link monsters, I run 1 Barricade Board Blocker for the field spell recycle when we need it. Also the 1 Link Spider for the normal monsters, more special summon options from our hand if we open them up in our hand to go for. Also the 1 Also the Earth Charmer, and the 1 Mrs. Radiant, being Earth monsters for the majority of our main monsters in the deck. Both very, very good Link monsters to go into when need be. Also the 1 Nightmare Phoenix, the 1 Nightmare Cerberus, and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn to finish off the rest of the extra deck. And as for our go-to main plays, one of my favorites still being with the option if you open up your Unexpected Die, and also Fusion Deployment or your Rescue Rabbit in your hand. You have plenty of the special summon power here to go for, and you'll also need 1 of the polymerization or the search power to go into polymerization from your hand. So what you'll do is first, you will activate either the Unexpected Die or the Fusion Deployment, depending on which one you go for. At least with Fusion Deployment, you can have monsters on the field already, but with Unexpected Die, you have to have no monsters, but there's no limitations after you special summon with Unexpected Die, like there is with Fusion Deployment. So going off of the Unexpected Die as our first option, you will special summon out 1 of the Robos from your deck onto the field, and then with the Rescue Rabbit as your normal summon, you will banish the Rescue Rabbit and summon out 2 of the other additional copies we run of the Roboyarou onto the field, giving you both of the options now for your fusion summon. You can then use polymerization or discard the King of the Swamp to search out polymerization, being able to fuse your Roboyarou and Robo Lady together into your preferred fusion that you will summon out onto the field, giving you your additional monster on the field as well. You can either keep the other normal monster you summoned out on the field to use, because then if you have the fusion weapon to equip onto your Robo Lady, being one of the other additional cards in your hand, you have that option, and the limiter removal play to boost up the power like we spoke of before, with Roboyarou being able to have up to 1,800 attack to swing into your opponent, and then Robo Lady having the additional damage, or you can attack with Super Robo Lady first if your opponent has an attack edition monster, swinging for more damage, because then she'll gain 1,000 attack off of her own effect, and then Roboyarou being able to attack directly for even more damage there. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. This is definitely an interesting deck to take a look at. There's a bunch of other different ones I want to work on from the older Yu-Gi-Oh series. I definitely want to work on an Exodia deck using all the different forms of Exodia we had from the original series and also GX. Plus, look at, maybe some of the cards Taya used. I definitely want to update, Destiny board for Bakura. All things I definitely want to work on in the future. But until then, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.